This is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association, located at 1601 East 18th Street, Suite 200F.
What's up, Kansas City? This is Ajamu Webster, and I'm with the National Black United Front and also the Buy Black Empowerment Initiative. And we are so excited here in Kansas City to have with us Eugene Mitchell. Now, Eugene Mitchell is Corporate Vice President, New York Life, Marketing Division, African American Marketing Division. But he's much more than that. Eugene Mitchell is a visionary who put together a strategy for sound economic planning, wealth transfer, and wealth creation for the African American community. So we're happy to have Eugene here in Kansas City. And Eugene, welcome to Kansas City.
Thank you.
Welcome to What's Up, Kansas City.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Eugene, for those who don't know, just say a little bit about the 50B, the $50 billion initiative that's going on.
Sure. Thank you, John. The $50 billion empowerment plan really is an agent-led movement. I lead 1,200 African American agents around the country, and we're on a mission to change the financial future of Black America. What we're doing is trying to provide financial literacy along with tools and strategies to create wealth. We know wealth equals opportunity, and other races, religions, and ethnic groups have been focused on creating wealth for themselves for hundreds of years in ways that we do not know and have not been doing. And so when my 15 years of the company and sitting amongst these other cultural markets, watching how they're using things like life insurance and annuities, long-term care to provide and protect for themselves, to really set up the generational wealth, but more importantly for themselves and their family, create these endowments for college education, for down payments to new homes, to start new businesses. I've realized that there are tools and rules that we've not been shared and told. And my passion is about bringing that to our community. And so this $50 billion empowerment plan was a way to not only empower our families individually, but also to think about it collectively. So the goal of this is to touch 200,000 African Americans and to help them with their financial planning and their redirecting of their spend back into some of these financial tools and strategies with a minimum of a $250,000 life insurance policy as one of the foundational assets in place. Because 200,000 people with $250,000 of life insurance will create $50 billion of protection and future income.
So that's $50 billion transferred from
That's
one
right.
generation to the next.
That's correct.
Wow.
And what can't we do with $50 billion?
That's incredible.
And it passes tax-free. And things like life insurance are exempt from financial aid forms. That they're sheltered from creditors. That there are so many avenues and understandings around these tools that we need to know. And this is what we're going to share at the town hall meetings that we're putting on around the country. And that there's more information that the agents that work with me can provide.
Now, we want to talk about the tour that you
Yes.
have going around the country, but I want to drill down a little bit
Sure.
more on this because people may not grasp this.
Okay.
Now, first of all, you started this initiative how many years ago?
4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, January 1, 2011.
January 1, 2011. And then you said the goal was $50 billion,
That's
right?
right.
Now, have you made any progress toward that
Thank
number?
you for asking. No, absolutely. This is the exciting part of it now. So what started off as a vision for me that we have to do better in this generation for us and those coming after us. That then became a mission that I'm leading these agents on. It's now become a movement. And what I mean by that is 4.5 years in, we've now touched 150,000 families.
Wow.
And sat with them, helped to put plans in place that now have put $32 billion on the books.
Oh my goodness.
32 billion towards the 50 billion.
Oh
So
my
we're saying we're
goodness.
doing it and it's working.
Yes.
Yes.
So you mean to tell me that 150,000 families
Yes.
have already gotten on board?
That's correct.
Equal 32 billion.
That's correct.
So the question I have is, what's happening with the rest of us? Why aren't we on
That's
board
right. That's
to be
right.
part of this? Because I think the thing is important to understand. If you can help us, what's the difference between having high salary income and having wealth?
That's
So I can understand why I need to be part of this.
Right, absolutely. And these are the nuances that we need to talk more about. So I appreciate you sharing and trying to educate along with us. Because I think for most of us, we don't know. We've been sort of led astray with these symbols of wealth. We want to buy the car, the fancy car. We want to look the part. And or we're mistaken that the incomes, we talk about our incomes are rising. They're becoming on par with everybody else. The education levels, I'm the highest educated in my family. I'm doing well for myself. What I realize is relative to who? each other, yes, we're doing better, but relative to the general market, when you really look at the stats, the wealth gap continues to widen. And when you think about the assets of the average white family compared to that of the average black family, the gap is about $236,000. So
Okay.
the average black...
Does that mean the average black family has 100,000? The
It
average white family has
about
300,000?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
exactly where I'm
So
at.
what's the wealth for the average African American
It was
family?
about $6,000.
$6,000.
Yes, if you minus the assets from the liabilities, the mortgage from the home, the car from the loan, the credit card debt. If you add it all in, the student loans, we've got about $6,000 afterward. The average black family, white family has about 265,000.
Wow.
So there's about this gap of 240,000 in between there. And that's where the number 250,000 in this empowerment plan came from. Because at least we can always start from this current generation to bridge the wealth gap to be on par with others. Then we have to learn about these tools to make sure that we're doing what they're doing.
I have to drill down just a little bit
Sure,
more.
absolutely.
So Eugene, you're saying that if the average African American family
Yes.
has a net wealth, a net worth of 5,000,
Yes.
that means when mother and father pass,
Yes.
all they will leave is a total of 5,000.
That's correct.
Whereas the average white family, they're leaving over 200,000. And that's money that can be used for education and those types of
That's
things,
correct.
starting businesses.
That's correct.
Then what you're asking our community to do is to follow a strategy where we can leave 250,000,
At least.
and you've gotten 150,000 African American families to
Yes.
sign up.
Yes.
That's
And
wonderful.
so there's calculations that you have to go through to understand your value and your worth to yourself and your family. And I think these are some of the things that are missing. So these are one of the foundational pieces, or the tools and rules for me. That I think the first one is understanding our value and our worth to ourselves and our family. Because if you don't make it home tomorrow, what is the impact of that on your family and on those around you? And so what this movement around Black Lives Matter, and for me it's about, but what is a black life worth? See, I didn't know what I was worth in the way of looking at this as the other communities have done. The light bulb went on for me when I 2 years at the company. I came in a leadership development program, and completing this program, I got promoted to an assistant vice president, and got a letter in the interoffice mail that said, "Congratulations on your promotion. As an appointed officer of the company, we want to take out $2.5 million on your life to benefit the retirement fund of the company."
Wow.
And I said, "What is this about?" And when I asked folks, they said, "Well, this is common practice. This is what we do, in financial companies like ours. Small companies do it. They call them key man policies. We realize that, you're sort of this integral part of our operations, and if you leave, then, or something happens to you, we need to replace you, and that." So I said, okay, I understand that concept. I guess the deeper part of this for me was, but where does this $2.5 million come from? And they said, "Well, that's your value. That's what we see you worth." And I said, "Well, I don't understand that." And so they said, well, life insurance is a way to sort of protect your value and your worth, right? So I said, "Well, help me understand how you came up with the number." Well, they said, "Well, this young executive, you're making $100,000 a year. At 30 years old, we're expecting you to work here another 25 years at least. $100,000 a year for 25 years is $2.5 million. Without bonuses, without raises, without promotions, that's just sort of the current value of your future earnings. Don't you see you're worth that much?"
Wow.
I said, "Well, no, I've never been taught that." If anything, for me, life insurance, in the previous career that I had, I was a corrections officer for 4 years in a state prison in Miami. The life insurance that I owned was just 1 times my salary. And I thought that that's all that it was, and that's all I needed. And so they positioned this tool and this value on me in a very different way than I'd ever heard before. And I believe that's and when I think of it even deeper in our community, not only have we not been taught about the value, that the tools like life insurance has only ever been about covering the cost of the funeral. Remember then when Big Mama had the $1,000 policy or the $5,000 policy that hung on the back of the door, and that's all we ever talked about or knew that was there. But when she passed, it was never enough to cover the funeral.
That's right.
And so then we all became untrusting of the tools like life insurance. But what I realized is that this has now left us in a place of not knowing and being sort of left in the dark, while others are using these things as revenue generators for the family.
And so, Eugene, this is what the tour is about.
That's
it's
right.
providing the information, the education, so that we can know what it is that's available to us, right?
That's
So tell me about the tour and how you and Maggie Anderson came together.
Sure. Sure. Thank you, Adam. The tours is sort of this evolution of not only my work, but of the great works of Maggie Anderson. See, Maggie likewise has looked at the community and said, you know what, there are things that we can do for us, by us, with what we already have. So when 43 million African Americans have $1 trillion of earned income, but typically have been just consuming, spending it, and not thinking about where we spend it or who it benefits where we spend it. She's saying if we redirected that back into small black businesses or large black businesses, we could help them with their profits. When they become more profitable, when the demands are up, they have to hire more people. So she said that, then we have role models. We can have the kids aspire to be sort of entrepreneurs. That this is from us controlling our own spending and directing it where it can make an impact and where it can be seen as being successful, like other communities have done.
That's right.
For many years.
That's right.
That's a sort of for us, by us redirection of the money. And in my part, and what I think is a perfect partnership, is that, same thing, 43 million people with $1 trillion, we were to redirect that to the tools and strategies that can create wealth. We talked about the difference between income and wealth. So to create more wealth, to protect it, to build it, to leverage it, to pass it on from generation to generation, to impact those coming after us. That's what this is about. That really is the same dynamic of what we can do for us as a community to empower ourselves, to become more self-sustaining, to really make a difference. I think the other piece of the movement that we've started here is the way of voting. That this is something that we control, that we can rally and steer who's in there and in power for us. So this legacy, this literacy, and sort of the voting, this is about this movement. And so we've partnered on this empowerment tour to bring this messaging and to really get our folks to provide and rally leadership about what we can do in this day and age to make a difference.
Well, that's wonderful. And Eugene, thank you so much for your vision, leading 1,200 agents around the country who in this $50 billion initiative, you probably heard Eugene said they're already
32 billion.
32 billion in.
140 million currently right here in Kansas City.
All right. And you can be a part of that by coming on out, if you can make it on out and be part of the Buy Black initiative, be part of this whole campaign, be part of the 50B. We want to thank you very much. Thank you for listening to What's Up Kansas City. And if you want to know what's going on in your community, Cascade Media, What's Up Kansas City. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm IFBB Bikini Pro Cat Williams, and when I'm not working out in the gym, I'm searching the web on Cascade Media and What's Up Kansas City. So make sure you check them out.